All right. People are popping in, which is cool. All these people early and on time. I love it. We'll get started here in just a momentito. Um, and super glad to see everyone popping in, everyone who has an interest in maybe adding this into their wheelhouse. And I am trying to admit people as I'm hitting admit all like crazy, and people are just piling in. So that's a good sign. I love it. I should have like elevator music going while we're, oh, there's, okay. 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 It is 10 a.m. Dang it. We're going to get this ball rolling because we got a lot we can cover and, um, and not, we're not going to do this all day, even though we probably could. So welcome everyone to today's call, which is just kind of an impromptu, hey, what's going on for a lot of people in vendor booth world? Okay, now some of you on here, I didn't have, I couldn't get everybody that had vendor booth experience, to be able to present because we have a limited amount of time. But those of you who maybe have joined us who have vendor booth experience, as we go along, feel free to share some of your top tips and things that that are working for you in this space. That Man, we top out at 100, so you may have, if you have team who say they can't get in, it's because I can only admit 100 people, and normally I don't get, but we're getting close to that. Um, so anyway, if like I said, if you've got experience doing this and some tips as we're going through these presentations, feel free to add in comments, right? Put those in the comments. Um, and share. We won't have time to have everyone verbally share, but you can share in the comments as we go along. So today we've got a few people that we're going to have present some information. Now remember, this is not. I should have just not had a waiting room on this. I'm hitting that admit all constantly. So this is not a. This is not something where we're going to tell you we have all the answers, okay? Um, and so we, what we're going to do today is like what Roxanne and I always do with all the calls that we do is like we hope that we're presenting nuggets that might be useful for you. So the whole goal and the objective is to, present information that can inspire you to take action. And it's not that you need to duplicate exactly what presenters are doing. It's simply going, hey, like if I was to find my top three takeaways that would make me go into different action or find success by getting into action, what are those top three takeaways, and take those notes down. If you try to digest it all and you try to implement it all, or if you try to exactly duplicate like a Tatiana or an Asti or a Melody or a Deanna and all the people who are going to present today, or us, you'll just get overwhelmed. One of the things that has been exciting for Roxanne and I, over a decade ago. I mean, we've been doing this now for 17 years, right? And so over a decade ago, we used to be more active in the vendor space because, once our warm list kind of started to change, and our list was kind of getting exhausted, which for us was quick because we didn't have much influence or know that many people, la la la, right? So vendor booths became a great way for us to start to add to that list. And so, but then, our team started to grow and we were super busy and, whatever. And it was kind of taking on a life of its own. So we kind of stepped back from that. Now we did have success back then, but things are different now. And so we were a little apprehensive to jump into this world going, oh, geez, what do we know? Then we were chatting with some folks in our team that we're blessed to have in our team. We had nothing to do with them coming into our team, but Tatiana and Richard Timofeva, who are 2.0 founder 2.0s, presidential diamonds, all that, right? And blowing it up. And one of the ways that they've been very successful is, and you'll hear from them in a little bit, has been with these vendor booths that they jumped into. And so we were inspired. Here's us going, oh, geez, should we do this? Can we do it? Do we know how? And so we saw a bunch of what they were doing, and we just decided, what the hell? Just jump in, right? Oh, I said hell. Is that bad? Anyway, so we just jumped in. So what I'm telling you is, don't you don't need to be perfect at this, and you don't need to know everything. You're going to get to know enough that you can go try this out, and you can start to figure out what works for you. So that's what we did. We took a little bit of information from Tatiana and Richard, and we said, okay, we can do that. And we remembered, kind of some of our past experience there, and we put that together and we jumped in. So you can find vendor booths, right? Anywhere from like $50 to get a booth. Well, actually, you can probably find free ones too. They may not have as much value, but from about $50 to whatever you want to spend. Now, I don't recommend, recently there was a booth that, they wanted me to spend $2,500, and I just didn't see the value there. So basically, you're looking for a place and a space based on your current situation and what you can do economically to start the process, and go set up and be where people are coming through that you get to connect with. What's beautiful about vendor booths, and what I want you to remember, and what we've remembered, is that, oh my gosh, like, hey, we used to connect with people in person all the time doing this, right? And for some reason, based on, like the past, whatever, the blip, whatever you want to call it, right? That has shifted and changed. But this has been a way to get back to that magic of in-person connection and putting product on people, giving them experience, meeting them, talking to them, understanding what their needs are, and providing solutions for that. We are ultimately solutions providers, and we've been doing that for a long time, and things have been shifting to a different, outside of kind of that in-person connection, which I think has definitely affected many people's businesses, right? So this is a way that we hope you'll be able to connect with more people. Now, I was going to share some images, which I can still do, but while I'm pulling that up, because I realized I did that on another computer and I got to pull it up on this one. But while I do that, I'm going to have Roxanne jump in and start talking about what what we've been experiencing, what she loves about what we're doing, and she's going to ultimately share you a file with some artwork of what we've done, which I'll show you in just a minute.
Okay, well, I am very envious of anyone who's finding $20 to $25 shows. I'm like, I got to know about that. That is the one downside, is if you have to spend, a bit to get this done, you want to make sure it's effective, right? So, but we have we've done home show, we've done a marathon. So, these are two things that you probably have in your area. If you don't live in a big area, then you could drive to somewhere, that will have those, right? We've also done an Ironman, which is not like, don't think about like, oh, it has to be an Ironman, right? But just like you can think of different athletic events, right? We just
Yeah.
did the
We were
Senior
just
World
diving
Games.
into whatever, right? So just
Yeah,
remember, there are thousands
yeah.
of different, I mean, literally, you would be shocked if you got on ChatGPT or Googled or whatever and looked for or find any kind of convention type center or anything like that in your area. You'll be shocked how much actually goes on within driving distance of you that you could participate in at all different levels.
Absolutely. And we, obviously these are venues that they never said anything to us like, oh, direct sales is not
Yeah, you
an
just,
option. We know that sometimes they will have that listed as their, a part of their things, right? You can't have, that's never been an issue for us. So I would just say that, like, if that is just constantly coming up for you, you might want to meditate on that, because it could be that you're just attracting that type of situation. Okay. Because I have people tell me all the time, oh, they won't take, but, and I'm like, that's not even been a conversation. Like, I have people that are like, oh my gosh, are you doTERRA? Oh my gosh, that would be so great. We would love to have you. That would be amazing, right? So that's more of the energy that I think that you can attract, instead of like worrying about, does it have to be made by me so it can be a farmer's market, da, 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 right? So, but we have failed a lot in these, right? Like, we're just learning, and but some of them have been outdoor, some of them have been indoor. What I will give you a tip and trick about the outdoor approach, maybe raise your hand if you've ever done an outdoor vendor event. And weather, is a factor, right? And so you do have to be thinking a little bit about that. Yes, I'm seeing some hands. Awesome. We did actually lose a canopy to wind. So things that, but we bought weights for our canopies and things like that. And it's definitely, for the most part, been a great thing. Doing it outside has not been weather problem. That was just random weirdness. But if that does happen, like, luckily nowadays they don't cost thousands of dollars to get like a new canopy, right? It's not. It is an investment, and you will have to write off the fact that you spent it on another one, right? But okay, so the other thing that I would say is, whatever the vendor event is, James has got it. Okay, sweet. I'll let him take over.
So just real quick, I'm going to show you. And by the way, if you're raising your hand,
Well,
it's going
I
to be
asked people to raise their hand if they had done an outdoor
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, I wasn't
event.
totally
Yeah.
cluing to
So
that. I'm
sorry.
just saying, if you have a
Yes,
question, put
I
it in the
specifically
chat.
asked them to.
If you have a question, put it in the chat. We'll do our best to try
Yeah.
and any of you who see stuff that comes up that you may know the answer to, feel free to answer that, of course. So we've reached our maximum 100 participants. So I didn't really think we would get that many, but I guess we did. So if any of your team, like I said before, are saying, I can't get in, let them know, hey, we got this recorded. We'll get that recording out there to everyone. It's great that there's that many who are interested. Maybe during the call, maybe be able to try and increase that. But anyway, so here's just a booth that we did outdoor at a softball tournament where 5,000 athletes came through that were age 50 to in their 80s. This was really great. We enrolled a ton of people through this of all kinds. And honestly, the biggest things that made that difference was when we put up that got pain, can't sleep, right? And so so I'm just going to show you examples of, of our booth. This is another picture of it and this was with this, people ask me for a business card all the time. I don't do business cards. I do a selfie. I send that to them with their name, my name, and kind of a little blurb. And then, hey, if you need anything or need whatever, reach out. This is the business card, right?
Awesome idea that we got from Tatiana. Thank
Yeah,
you.
exactly. We got that from Tatiana, and it totally works. I like it. I've had people respond to it. Anybody who's really interested does respond to that. This is an example of how a table can look. And again, many of the ideas you see on here, we did get from Richard and Tatiana, like those little boxes with the chalk tape on the front of them and some of that kind of thing. One thing you'll notice is the recharge, right? We just broke apart boxes and made little 10 packs that we sold for $15 so that people could experience both flavors, walk away. And then we made sure that if we gave them one of those, we did the whole selfie business card thing saying, hey, if you can't get this anywhere, but with us, and use this business card, this selfie to get more, order more from us, or we could send them a cart right there with or a link gen with more or the recharge in it. And then we had a little dispenser with recharge in it with some ice and they could, with teeny little cups that they could taste as they went by. That made a huge difference as well. We had testers for like all the things that you see there, all the oil and stick products. We had testers out. That was a huge thing. We would try to draw people in with what's called a Viscera scan. Excuse me, if you're not familiar with it. but it's just a kind of like a scan that scans their blood flow patterns underneath the skin of their face, spits out some data, and recommends some doTERRA products. And you can use anything you want. That was one way to draw them into booth. But honestly, if we stood out in front of the booth and said, "Hey, how's your pain? How's your sleep?" They would go, "What?" And we would say, "Come on, let's put some stuff on you." And we would, especially that deep blue stick or the deep blue rub, man, that got. And that was, we've done several sporting events, but you could do it at any event. We would come up to people with Shinrin Yoku and say, "Hey, how's your cortisol levels? How are your stress levels? This will help reduce by 40%, right? Blah, blah." And you don't have to produce the study, right? It's just people go, "What, really? Oh, man." And then it's just to get the product on them. As soon as we got adaptive, Shinrin, any of the deep blue or sleep or whatever product on people, they were like, "Oh, what is that? Tell me more." And we would tell them, they would look at the ingredients. They love the feeling. Many people would go away and go do their sport or their activity, and then they would come back. And we would have people also at booths that weren't an actual going on sporting event who would have that experience, walk away, go look at other booths, come back and go, "Man, I really love that." And we could enroll them right there by putting that in a cart, maybe a couple other things, and get them rolling. So these are just some images of like booths, that backdrop. Roxanne will have artwork for that if that's something you want to recreate, or we've had people do it just on a table topper, or take the artwork and create whatever they want, even butcher paper type banners or whatever that you can get it printed on. You can see the scan with the stands and the iPads. I saw someone who was doing this with a light ring around the iPad. That's a really smart thing because these things do like specific, better lighting. And again, that feather banner there was just to get people's attention, right? So, and again, you can kind of see it wasn't totally set up yet, but we were getting this set up, and you can see the products that we were using. This is another one that was outside. I think this might have been the Ironman booth. And again, we're always trying to like stand out in front of our booth. We try not to stand back in the booth to talk to people as people are going by. And then also, whoop. So this was a kids area that we tried out in one booth, and then that backdrop that you saw before has two sides to it. So we can always flip them around depending on which one we want to showcase, or like in this case with this booth, people could see the back of our booth on the other side walking by. And so either side did work at that one. But, you can make whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Just get people's attention so that they're asking questions. You can have your kids be involved. We had our oldest son helped us on one of the booths one day selling, and these younger ones helped set up and do some things at the booth as well. So, this is just a way for you to, get back out there, talk to people, connect with people. Roxanne, what else did you want to say?
Oh, I am currently trying to get the file in. I already created a Google Drive, you guys, for all of the marketing that I have in case you want it, like the background sign, etc. But my sharing option in here, it seems like it's working, but I can't see it. So I'm working on
Okay.
that.
Okay, great.
I don't
So,
need to say anything else. I
okay,
think
all
we're
right.
covering it great.
That was very fast. This is meant to be kind of a fast thing. We will have the recording available that I'll get out there to people, but just know that this is about like I said before, this is just to inspire you to go into action, go out and do vendor booths, take what we've got, see what can work for you to just get you started, and then you start to make it your own and figure out what works for you. And every vendor a show may have little things that you tweak for whatever you think that audience is going to be, or what their needs are going to be, or what you want to showcase. Just remember, one of the things we did was we made ahead of time a bunch of different link gen QR codes, which you can do in your back office, and for different scenarios, ideas, carts that they could just scan on their phone. I could bring that up in my notes. They could scan it. Then I could help them right there walk through making that order happen. If they were somebody who was not feeling super tech savvy, we get some older folks, that kind of thing. I just took their phone and said, I can do it for you, right? And I would get that going. We even one time had a laptop at the show where we could literally just go into our account, add new client, new member, and put stuff in their cart, and then put in their information, and bam, there it goes. And you can also just have, some people won't take the time. You can send them the link, right, to that cart and go from there. All right, cool. We're excited to have other people share what's working for them and some of their top tips. And so our first presenters will be Tatiana and Richard Timofeva back in Minnesota,
So
right?
Richard has a different last name. His last name is Hubner.
Yeah, there
He
you go. So
appreciates mine. All right, here we go, guys. doTERRA, yay! All right. This is our new banner, by the way, that is going on the booth next week. We have a big event coming up in Convention Center in Minneapolis. This is our second time doing that event. Actually, it's been the most productive event that we have done. Super expensive event, by the way, but it's worth it if we have the right goal in mind and we connect our goals together. So today we're going to talk about some very exciting stuff about vendor events, what actually inspired us. But I have actually a presentation, so I'm just going to share slides with you. Let's talk about who we are, why we're here, why we have the space to play in this specific topic. I actually am a former Procter & Gamble marketing director, so I've been there for 11 years, and I actually worked on specific marketing campaigns such as like Pampers, Old Spice, Gillette. Like I probably had over 10 different brands so far in Europe and North America that I managed. But what I learned from that experience is that marketing and product benefits are everything. Okay, so you can't just sell On Guard essential oil. Like you actually need to sell what it does for people. And it's not about you say it, it's also about how you show it. So we actually are doing a ton of different things at the vendor events that specifically showing people to buy it faster versus just having a scattered table of tons of oils all together at once. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And this is something that I learned, right? Like I did billboards, I did TV ads, I did like printouts in magazines, and people only have a few seconds to make a decision when they see an ad in the store. Like I work with people at Target or Costco when people literally have 7 seconds to make a decision if they want to buy Pampers or Huggies, right? This is where we're coming from. Now I'm a presidential diamond with doTERRA, and my team is actually considered one of the fastest growing right now in North America. I'm a top enroller. I'm actually just being contacted by doTERRA to give an interview because I got into the top 20 enrollers in the country, which I'm very grateful for, so super honored. But again, it all also comes from vendor events too, because we do enroll a lot of people during the vendor event season when we do it. This is something about me. I actually want to introduce my husband, Richard Hubner. He is a professional sales guy. So I think what kind of started us in the vendor events, I grew to a presidential diamond without vendor events, actually. So I grew through social media, classes, like all of the stuff that you guys are doing. And we actually absolutely have to do it. But I couldn't sustain it, okay? I like needed the volume. I was like, what else can I do? And Richard, he was my husband. At that moment, he was my doTERRA business partner. At that moment, when I was a presidential diamond, he was just helping husband in the house. And then at some point, he also left his job from sales. He'll talk about that as well. And then he told me, he said, let's do booth. Let's do vendor events. And I was like, oh, Richard, I don't know if we should do it. It's so much work. You have to get the boxes, the product, set it up, pack it. We already have the team. I can do the Zoom calls. I can meet the people online. I can meet the people in small classes. Like I felt so comfortable in it. And Richard is like, I just want to do this. Like I'm a sales guy. Like let me do this stuff. So actually what I would say, Richard, thank you for inspiring me to do the vendor events, because if it wasn't you, I wouldn't do it. So here you go, your stage.
Yeah, so I worked on like timeshare, working directly with people on short time frames and having to invite them for something. And so the goal was always get them excited quickly and have them make a decision quickly. And vendor events, Tatiana's team is primarily Russian speaking. I needed to find my in with English speaking into doTERRA that I would enjoy. And so I feel sales was the number one thing that I could do. And vendor events allowed me to pretty much do what I did before, but for doTERRA. And so when we talk about this presentation, and what we really offer is sales skills rather than just lay downs and hope I sell something and, oh, I set up a booth, but having a strategy on how to really incorporate doTERRA and selling.
Yeah, and one thing he didn't say about himself, he actually was selling like cold leads to a high value tickets, such as like $8,000 to $40,000 packets.
Yeah, I mean, I was on Times Square talking to people, like literally stopping someone at Times Square and saying, "Hey, you want to do this thing?" So random people at hotels, like seriously stopping strangers rather than like a warm lead like your aunt or your uncle or your friend or your neighbor, but literal strangers from other countries and things like that. And that really prepared me to be super successful with vendor events.
Yeah, so I mean, selling a $30 Shirin Yoko for you versus like $40,000 Hilton packages.
It's easy. It's fun. I
It's
enjoy
fun. But again, we have learned, we have used all of the tactics as we have gathered them as a marketer and salesperson to create the pitches and to create the conversations, because what's important is not just to set up a booth. It's also important what you say, how you stop people, and how you convert them. So we will teach you a few things today. We also will tell you about what we are working on right now as a big project, but super excited to be here. So why vendor events, and and actually how it transformed our business? I think for me, it was like I said, I was kind of like, literally, I felt bored. Okay. I felt bored doing the same thing. I was like, oh my God, things are the same. Like I'm doing the Zoom calls, I'm doing the thing. Like, what's new? What new can I add to myself? And so Richard, when he threw this vendor events, I was like, yeah, but it requires extra stuff. And so we started doing this, and we created a system that we're able to actually duplicate throughout the team right now, which helped us to bring more volume. Okay. Imagine if 30 of your people in your team, let's even say 5 people in your team, generate 600 to 1,000 PV each weekend. What would it do to your business? Just 10. But what if it's 100 people that do it? Generating 600 PV each weekend, minimum. Okay, because this is our average sale is like 600 to 1,000 PV on a small event for 5 hours. Easy, okay?
with enrollments.
With enrollments too, okay? Like volume that we sell plus the enrollments. And honestly, we have done events where we sold 9,000 PV, right? We're doing that in what, 5 days? That's the event that we did, right? Like, how can that transform my life? How can that transform my volume? So it generates you new clients. It brings you out of clients. You can also get business partners. We have some of the people in my team who are actually present here that got business partners from event. Actually, you can see a booth right there. Svetlana is leading that booth for us. Then we also do new leads as well. Like leads means like they're not your clients yet. You sold something to them. What do you do with them? How do you connect them? Like how do you put them in a CRM system that then you can actually potentially enroll them in the future? Okay, the new leads is a big deal. And how do you collect the leads? It's very important. We actually moved from physical collection, which we used to put on a piece of paper that a lot of people have a little pen and paper, all that kind of stuff. Oh my God, how many
can't read, but
misspelled
you're
phone
right.
numbers was there? I was like, screw this.
Emails.
Burn. I can't tear apart, throw away. I can't read it. I can't read the wrong written email. Okay. And then the bounce that comes up from it. So we started doing everything digitally right now. We collect CRM system digitally right away. It lands in our Kajabi account, and then we can actually automatically send them emails if we want to. Like that's how amazing that is. And then I think a lot of people would appreciate it, especially those who are bigger ranks. We don't have buy-ins. We call them sellouts. Okay. I see James smiling. Okay, sell out means that I don't have actually inventory in my house. I don't have extra oils. I barely even have an extra on guard for myself. I was like, oh my God, my on guard has run out. Let me grab it from my presentation box from vendor events. And Richard's like, don't touch this box. You can't touch it. It's for the event.
Vendor only.
Because then later on I go to the event, we pack all the boxes, and where's on guard? It's on Tatiana's shelf in the bathroom. Like, come on. So anyway, the idea is if you need to buy something, you have a vehicle where you can actually sell. So you're not afraid to buy, help your team, do yourself, like help basically to grow your business, right? And again, it's not about just selling. It's about by selling, you actually find new leads and new clients. So people want the product right away in their hands as well. Then it's also, Richard reminded me, I mean, that's what you told me about this. You can talk that about creating professional image.
Just, you see all the booth photos that James shared and we shared. It's literally when you put that booth up and you're at a vendor event, there's something that just kind of elevates your status internally. You don't feel like, again, you're pitching your grandma or your best friend. You can talk to strangers from a level of professionalism that doesn't kind of get into that weird thing like, why is my brother trying to sell me oils every 5 seconds, right? Because these are complete strangers that it's okay to showcase your product to them and invite them to learn more, because you don't know who they are. You're not being pushy or being that, like, again, the neighbor that just keeps hitting me with doTERRA. You can do it freshly,
Yeah.
if that's a word.
You're a professional, so you actually have a physical presence now versus like an online presence. You do have a physical presence, which I think is terrific, right? For a lot of us. And it removes that stigma that we live every day with. Oh my God, like what do I do, right? Like how do I work with this? So basically that removes that stigma of being in network marketing, because now you have a store, physical store right in front of people, okay, which is absolutely gorgeous. Then you can take the photos of the store and put it on social media. So then you create a reputation for yourself, like a basically a digital card that you are working with doTERRA seriously. You're not just like a selling to some neighbor, like, oh, buy this oil from me today because I need to make my order complete or whatever. You're a professional person that has a presence and space, okay? That's why we also like vendor events, because it actually, yes, for me, it's fine. I already like feel I'm a part of doTERRA and, my roots are pretty deep in this. But a lot of the new people that come, like elites or even just new people that completely just started this business, when they have a booth, they feel they have a job at doTERRA, like period. Okay.
And we've actually, this last event we just did, one of the clients came through and they met us at another event and they're like, glad to see you at this event. And they bought more product from us. So that's another thing with the being present in the community.
Perfect. Okay, so 5 top lessons that we learned from vendor events. And again, we learned like hundreds of lessons, and we also like knocked our head and like mistakes as well. And we have corrected a lot of things. So you guys know we have done like a lot of events. Like my whole calendar is full for November, December, even though we just had a baby. We literally plan all the way from like September till January, and then a little break, and then we go again in spring all the way till June, and sometimes we still have events in summer. So basically we try to do a lot of the things almost every week with our team here, and I think that motivates us to keep going, right? We don't have a break. And so we have, like, even though we only been at doTERRA for 5 years, okay, and then we did vendor events for the last year and a half, 2 years. We have done a lot of those events, from $50 events, from free events, from literally pumpkin farm events, from farmer markets events, for crafts and gift show in a local church or a school, to a big convention center in Minneapolis. Okay, so we've done a ton of those events, and we also were able to implement a ton of those events with our team across the globe. So I actually have some people running events in London next month. I have some people running events in Moscow at the mall, shopping mall. Okay. And I do have some people running events in LA, like Miami. We have done it in like Orange Theory, a pop-up. So we have done a ton of different events. Okay. So we are speaking here with experience. And so those are 5 lessons that we have learned from the hundreds of events that we have created, whether ourselves or implemented with our team internationally. So number 1, I think, is a lot of people don't realize it. They just like, oh my God, I just want to do an event. Okay. I just want to be present or whatever. What's your goal behind it? Okay. That's super critical. Yes, for some people, it's kind of get back to trenches and like start enrolling people. For some people, it's closing your rank or closing power of 3 or getting rid of inventory that you had. Like, what is your goal? Is it something that you want to motivate your team? Is it something you want to like generate leads? Do you want to increase your enrollment so you hit your Diamond Club goals, right? Or you want to win incentive trip? Like, what is your goal? Why do you want to do it? And our goal is basically to strengthen our rank and strengthen our team. Because right now, our goal is not just to do events for us. We're doing events, so our team does it. They look at us. If we know how to do it, they believe it's possible, right? So that's kind of a thing that why we do it. But in the beginning, in the rank.
Well, any rank can do an event, right? You can be a double presidential diamond and still do an event. And that's what's kind of humbling about it, right? Is going to the trenches and showing people, hey, let's go. You know, that kind of feeling I feel when James got back into it. He's smiling. He's like, yeah, man, it felt good to get back down in there, and you're showing everyone on your team that, you know, it's okay. Anyone can be a part of doing these, which is
Yeah.
part of, but then again, still having a goal and a mission
100%.
objective with the event.
100%. And actually, if you do have a partner that does business with you, whether it's a husband or maybe it's your brother or sister that you do business together, or maybe it's your another downline that you guys want to collaborate, do it together. This is the funnest thing. I mean, like Roxanne and James, like give me a smile. Like for me, this is my best date, like my romantic date at the vendor events. Okay. Like I don't like, it's boring for me to sit at a restaurant and talk about nothing. It's fun for me to see Richard having fun conversations with people, cracking jokes with them. And I was like, oh my God, my husband is so amazing. Like we're having so much fun together. Honestly, this is our dates on the weekend when we do vendor events. So if you consider this as a fun project with your team, that's where you want to go with it. Second thing is what we learned, it less is more. I have seen so many business builders putting 100 oils on a table and trying to sell them all. Okay. And it doesn't work out. If you guys have known, and maybe you know, maybe not, but I know it really well from marketing experience, they did a study back in the day and they put in front of people tons of boxes of cereal, and then they wanted to see how many people convert to pick one. Okay. So percentage of the ones that picked was very low. When they only put 4 boxes of cereal in front of people, the conversion was like almost 20 times higher. Okay, so less is more. We gotta be focused. This is very important. Third thing is, Richard want to talk about this because this is
Just,
your quote,
you know,
basically.
Just like James was mentioning, he's in front of the booth and things. I don't sit down at all for an 8-hour shift when I go to these events. I don't sit down, even when there's no one there, I don't sit down. I'm not looking at my phone, none of that stuff. So you're not there just to take orders. We're there to give people education and understanding and show them why they need to take this home today. And if you're selling, that's different than just being a cashier. And that's something that, you know, we implement and try to teach our team, is that you're there to actually sell things, not just be there also.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even bring tables or chairs.
You know.
I mean, only when I was pregnant, I would have a chair, but
No chairs, standing the whole time.
yeah, we don't
keeping
bring
the
it.
hustle on.
Right, exactly. So that's important because you see a lot of people just like waiting for people to stop by. This is another complete tactic. CRM is very critical. I kind of briefly talked about it, but you need to be able to collect the leads, because it's not just about selling or like talking to people who stopped. You also need to figure out like how do you collect the leads to follow up and enroll them later. We are able to do that through multiple different vectors. Lately, we started doing it through Zyto, which is kind of interesting as well, because then we enroll those people with like 200, 300 PV orders a week later, which was phenomenal, which extend your volume that you sell at the vendor events a few weeks later. And then the number 5 thing is, it's all about duplication at doTERRA. You got to be able to create a duplicatable system and teach it to your team to scale, right? Because it's great when you can do it yourself, but you know the burnout feeling when you do it alone. You need to be able to inspire your team to do it. So if you learn something today, bring it to your team, right? Talk to your people and make sure that they do it together with you. Do a competition who sells more.
Do we need a? Are we good?
Okay, so now, yeah, and we're gonna like briefly drop a few more slides. So we are actually creating a vendor event academy right now as work in progress. We have already 15 modules that we have recorded and created. That's gonna be a big Richard's dream, actually. He's like, we gotta teach people how to do it. Richard, why did we do this?
Just so if everyone's, like she said, if everyone's selling 600 or 1,000 PV a weekend on your team and you get them out there hustling and shuffling, it's going to raise doTERRA as a whole, right? All rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. So we want to showcase and teach people what we've learned over the 2 years of vendor events and then the past 20 years of marketing and sales.
Perfect. And we're launching this project after Blue and Presidential Diamond Summit, which is like the first week of December. And that's going to be something exciting where we will share a lot of things. But we're going to just kind of talk about like why and what do we actually teach and what you can learn even today from us. So why do you need a structure? Because when there is an order, there is a better professionalism, right? If you do have a system that you can duplicate to 100 wellness advocates, you're going to grow. This is what we teach. We teach a system that can be duplicatable to like millions of people across the world, to any countries, honestly. Then also you gotta like, how do you identify those events? Like, you know, if you can't do in a farmer's market, how can you? Like, what can you do, right? Like, what can you do in your community? Then also event strategies and goals, because a lot of people don't even know how to set a goal, how to calculate the ranks, like how do you tie your volume and enrollments to the goal that you're trying to achieve. That's something that we also are talking when we are implementing events with our team. And 90-second pitch, we're going to teach you right on the next screen. So just watch out. Like, I want you to use this speech with every single person you talk to at the vendor events, because within 90 seconds, you can sell a lot of stuff. And then what products to sell? This is the number one thing that people ask us. Like, okay, like then if it's not 100 oils, which one do I sell? Which one sell the best? How do you sell them? How do you make sure that they're not sitting on your shelves and expire, whatever? And then how do you organize the space in the best way so it's super clear? Like James and Roxanne showed us the boxes with the black. You have seen like a chalk writing and stuff like that. That's a beautiful idea of organization. We teach a lot of ideas like that. And then basically, how do you ask for a sale and enrollment today? And how do you upgrade that enrollment to 100, 150, or 200 PV? I actually can testify. We have enrolled hundreds of people on those events. There is only one enrollment that was 70 PV. Every other enrollment was over 100 PV. Only one enrollment, which we've done last weekend, which was a collagen only. I don't know why she wouldn't add something for a free balance, whatever. But every single one enrollment after that was 100, 150, or 200 PV. And we know specifically how to upsell people to anchor them in those PV amounts. So that's how we are able to generate 9,000 PV at the vendor event, right? So this is important. Again, it's not about for you to show up. It's about how to, like how to show up. What do you do? Right? That's what we teach. And Richard wanted to teach you something really, really cool that he taught me from as a sales guy who sold $40,000 packages at Hilton. Again, he is able to sell Deep Blue like hot pancakes at the vendor events with this specific solution.
Well, there's a few other things prior to this, but we just want to showcase. James mentioned like he'll put some Deep Blue on people and let them go roam around, which is an awesome tactic. But just knowing third-party stories, in the doTERRA book, they don't really teach you how to structure the story. So just think about it kind of logically with like Deep Blue. But someone has a problem. They went in search of a solution. The solutions they found were either dangerous or didn't work. Then they found you, and you provided them with a natural solution that did work. Now they're your testimonial, and you describe that. So when we're selling Deep Blue, I'll do two quick ones. I'll say, I personally use this right now, and I'll lean over and put some on my back because we're at the table and we're doing the booth thing. So I'm using it right in front of them. And then the other thing is say, my dad has arthritis. He tried to do medication, but it reacted bad to him. We gave him the Deep Blue. He was using it after he played the drums to lower the inflammation. It worked, but now he uses it therapeutically before and after he does things, and it works phenomenal.
And you also say that he's a drum player.
And he plays the drums, that's why he has arthritis. So I give him that kind of story, and the fact that they try to put him on medication, he didn't react well to it, and he didn't want to take it. He wanted to find a natural solution to deal with his arthritis, right? We're not saying that it cures arthritis. We're saying that he uses it with his arthritis, right? So, and then he's my testimonial, right? So
But just real quick, Richard, on that, just so everyone knows, this is a space where you can say whatever the heck you want, man, because it's not online, it's not being recorded. So I say whatever I want to say about
Okay. We're not compliant here.
Right.
So yeah, just basically having that third-party story that goes through an arch of someone doing something, finding something that didn't work. You provided that solution that was a gap in their health concern that you addressed naturally. And then from there, you have a testimonial that works every time. So a lot of people have stories and they tell their stories, but there's actually like a logical structure, like movies, right? They got act one, introduction, all the things that happen in an arc. The same happens when you do a third-party story. If you follow the arc, it's quick, it's impactful, and it's part of the sales technique that we use with all of our products. We have a benefit, a feature, and a third-party story for all of it. And for every product, I can have that boom story done.
Yeah.
Very
and if we
helpful.
introduce a new product on the shelf, if we like don't have it yet, let's say we'll put a holiday piece or something, I would have to come up with a story that I'm going to tell my clients within 90 seconds. So then they convert, right? And then basically think about it. If I have 90-second stories for each product, and I can literally say one for On Guard, one for Breathe, one for Shirin Yoku, and one for Deep Blue, I have an enrollment in literally 90 multiplied to 4, right? What is it? 360 seconds. I can get an enrollment because I can testify specific things, what they need to hear for them to convert and believe that this product is going to work for them. And that's important. Why there is a structure to this? So you don't talk half an hour with your client. You're efficient. You know what you're talking about and you know what's actually working because those things are working in sales.
The last thing I'll say is most of it, unless we're doing the enrollment process through the online portal, it takes a little bit longer. They're filling in their information, but our average sale with a person is like 10 to 12 minutes. And we're selling on average, if we're selling volume right there, between $60 and $100 worth of volume within 12 minutes to 15 minutes or less.
Yeah. So our average transaction, if we go to our Square right now, our average transaction around like $86. Just like a transaction size when people buy from me, right? So I don't sell them $10, $15 packets. I actually sell them big packets right away, everything. Like I don't have anything that I pre-package. I don't have any homemade rollers. I just sell them doTERRA products like as they are from the website by explaining the benefits in the 90-second, okay? And of course, you can also do like testers and stuff. Like you can let people try the electrolytes because I think that sells it on its own, right? But again, in the end of the day, when you use those techniques in the right way, you're actually becoming a pro. And then you're able to create those events. And when you go to the events, you'll know you're going to sell 600 PV. You know you're going to sell 1,000 PV. And again, Richard, what was the last event that we've done? Everybody was complaining how bad it was, right?
It's funny. Every time I do a vendor event, I'll ask my neighbor or one of the people, say, "Hey, how'd you do today?" "Ah, it was better last year." That's what they'll always say. And I say, "Well, I don't have anything to compare, but I know that I crushed it, you know, and I know why I crushed it was because
You don't have a chair.
I don't have a chair.
That's why.
My phone is off. It's in my pocket,
And you have sales.
We're talking to every single person that walks by, and we have a structure of what I need to do while I'm there, and I just do it.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully you guys learned something from us today from the sales standpoint. Again, watch out for this Vendor Academy. If you're interested, we'll be posting it now on social media. I'm sure like if, you know, James and Roxanne will help us to advertise as well, that would be amazing. But we are literally work in progress. We're so excited to teach you to do this because we believe this is one of the things that doTERRA needs to do more. Let's do it together. Thank you guys for inviting us.
Awesome. And that was such great information. And sorry, we're having to like pack everything in here. And even maybe once you have your, once you have your thing available, right? Maybe we'll do one more of these to kind of,
Academy. Yeah.
once your academy is ready, maybe we'll do another one of these to try and a lot of people like to be on live, but we will have this recording. So that's great. So our next presenter, which we're excited about, is Melody Watts. And so we're going to let her take it away. She's been building a ton of her business as well through these events. Melody.
Hey guys, thanks. Yeah, like James was saying, I ran out of my warm market really, really fast. And so can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
This is a little picture of a booth. Sorry, I don't have a whole presentation, but first of all, Tatiana okay, sorry, what is your husband's name?
Richard.
Richard, that was absolutely incredible. I am so inspired. So the reason I'm so excited about this call is because I do a lot of booths, but I also want to know what the top enrollers are doing and how they're doing things, right? Like I built my business doing booths, but I just got so many ideas. Like my sales are going to go up. I'm so excited. I'm going to be booking more. I'm going to be duplicating more. I just took away so many nuggets. So I hope you guys really took a lot of notes. So I'll just share kind of what I do and how I started doing this. That's our little booth in the background. I actually would like travel all over the country to do booths. And that was like how I built my business. I would find the best health, events in the country, and I would pack everything up, spend a couple $1,000s, spend on flights. So I spent a lot of money building my business like this, but I kind of looked at it.
And by the way, she's a presidential diamond. So just in case you didn't know that, so she knows what she's talking about.
So I kind of like did this because I wanted to get the best of the best, and I wasn't thinking small. I was thinking really big. But then as I wanted to duplicate more, I started doing what Tatiana does, which is, doing a lot of the little local things. Like you don't have to travel all over the country. I did that and spent thousands of dollars, but I do think it's unnecessary. Like right in your community, there's so many things. So my nephew and I sat down yesterday for an hour yesterday, and we just contacted. We set up booths, we found booths, we searched all over Facebook for local events. There's a gym grand opening. It's going to be totally free. I offered this woman, I was like, hey, I'll send, she probably would have let me have a booth either way, but I was like, hey, I have a list of local Idaho people, 3,000. I'd love to send them your grand opening. And so immediately I'm creating value. So the booth was free. I'm promoting it on social for her to all my local people. And again, it's free. So I think you can find a lot of free things. And I've paid a lot of money for booths. And the most I've paid was for actually a speaking spot at a pediatric conference. And that was incredible too. There was only a couple hundred people there, but they were really, really high quality leads. And I have found some of those smaller events are higher, they can be a lot higher quality. So don't be afraid of an event that's going to have 100 people. That's 100 people you can get in front of and still make an incredible connection. I have done practitioner events. I love to work with practitioners because I have a little niche. I speak their language. So I love to do events like functional medicine conferences and things like that. A little more spendy, but I'm not always doing those. Those are like once or twice a year. And I oftentimes will find really incredible business partners at those events as well. And so this is kind of what my setup looks like. I like to get, when I travel to locations, I don't pack all my crates. I bring a couple suitcases of my things, and then I just go to the local Lowe's or craft store and get these little $12 little crates, and that's my display. I usually go 9 up, and then I've got 9 different categories. So you can see I've got an On Guard category, I've got my foundational wellness category, I got my sleep and stress category, I've got my collagen and metabolic. And so I just, and less is more. So I'm doing closer to 6 now, so I'm not overwhelming people. So and then I've got a pain one, and I can't remember what the last one is over there. Oh, it's gut health. It's gut health. So I've got my 6 main categories, and then I sample. So what I will do oftentimes to pull people in is I'll have an oil in a hand, and I'll ask them if they've tried essential oils before. And that's kind of my introduction to pull them in. And I'll have like a little peppermint in my hand. I'll put a peppermint drop and just have them breathe it in right there. And right away, of course, they're blown away, right, at the peppermint experience. And then I just start asking questions. I go through Tiffany Peterson's 5 Gates to Sales. Like, have you tried essential oils? What do you use natural medicine for? You know, what has been your experience? What is your main health concern? Would you like to try something more naturally for that? How long has this been a problem? You know, if we were able to find you a solution, is that something you'd be interested in? And so I'd ask all the questions. I learned to get masterful at asking questions. And then I always have a gift bag. So I have like these little gift bags that I use. They're like little mesh gift bags, and I put collagen and VMG in there. And I have a free essential oil, anything from On Guard to Serenity. I have a Modern Essentials booklet. And then so what I do is once I've kind of solved all their problems and put oils on them. That's one thing that we always will do. Like 9 times out of 10, if somebody comes to me with a headache, we can get rid of it. And if they have that experience right off the bat, it's really hard for them not to make a purchase right then and there on the spot, right? And I have found it's much easier to sell on the spot than follow up. I do the follow up, but I have found that they're much easier to close when they're right there in front of you. So I try to do everything I can. Now, if it's like a 5-day event, I'm not like as high pressure because I know they're going to come back. They always come back if it's like a 3 or 4-day event. But if it's like I have 4 hours, I'm going to sit down and I'm really going to try to make the sale. So then I'll say, oh, do you know what the conference special is today? And they'll be like, what's the special? Like, oh, I get something for, you know, being here today, or for purchasing today. And I'll be like, yeah, actually, you get this free gift bag with all these goodies, a free essential oil. This one's worth $35 just for purchasing today. So anybody that purchases, I give them this free oil. Now, some people might say that's not duplicatable. I have been doing this since I was an elite. So it's just like, what are you willing to invest? I used my LRP points. I found a way to make it happen. So I give them this free oil. You get to pick any of these oils from our grab bag. They start sifting through it. They're shopping in their mind. Oh, what could I buy so I can get this free whatever bag with all the goodies in it? And so oftentimes, and then I'll say, and if you spend 100, you know, it's free shipping. So like any purchase, you get this bag. 100 is free shipping plus the Diamond Club code. You know, you get a free balance. 150, you get a free diffuser. And so I have it just right there on display, like all the tiers that they get something free with. And then I'll go in and when I'm doing their shopping cart, if we're at 99 PV, I'm gonna be like, do you want to spend another $1 and get free shipping and a free balance? And they're like, yeah, what else can I get? And I'm just upselling. And so I would say our average orders are in between 100 and 200 because I'm always trying to get them that free shipping or that free balance or whatever it might be. And then some people will do bigger. If I'm at an event that's like not necessarily a health event, I'll have more of the skincare and non-toxic living stuff there, and especially like holiday items. I will have people come in sometimes and spend $500 to $1,000 on the holiday items and the non-toxic stuff, and they don't really care about the medicinal stuff. They just want like all the good smelling fancy things, and they just will shop, and then hopefully I can later convert them over to a healthy lifestyle. The other thing that I really like to do is I like to have VMG samples. So it's super easy. I'll just take like to make it really simple because I'm not complicated. I just take like a water bottle and I'll take little cups, right? Like I've got little plastic cups and I'll line up like 10 or 15 cups. And then I'll just put like, I don't know, 3 or 4 packets in a big like liter, and I'll just shake it up. And then I just pour like a little ounce or 2 in each cup, and it pulls people in. Like people just want to try it. And so they're like, oh, I want to try that. And so sometimes I'll say like, free, free samples. Sometimes I'll do with the collagen free adrenal cocktail. I call it an adrenal cocktail because it's kind of a buzz word. And so we'll have a collagen samples, the same thing. And people are coming over and they're sampling it, and I'll be like, do you take a vitamin and mineral? Is it absorbable? And we'll start to have that conversation about VMG. And kind of the last thing that we'll do to pull people in is oftentimes we'll put up like a chair massage table with a sign up sheet. And we'll say, do you want a 10-minute oil application technique? And what I love about this is Tatiana and Richard were saying how usually a sale takes 10 minutes. What I love about this is if you get your hands on people and you put them on a chair, little chair massage, you start doing aroma touch on their neck, and you start teeing Deep Blue, and you start taking their hands. And then I've got my nephew who just has this velvety voice, and he's 6'4" and a hunk of a guy. He's just working on him, and like 9 times out of 10, they are purchasing something when they get up from that chair, and so they love it. And he'll sit there and talk about their problems, right? Like tell me about this, and oh yeah, and so he's selling them and having a conversation while they're having this aromatic experience. He's putting the smells, and he's working their calves and doing some Deep Blue, and they just are like, yeah, I gotta buy something after that 10-minute free massage, right? And they just feel really they feel really good, they feel really obligated, and then you've built a connection with them. So we love having a little thing there. And if there's a line, we just have people sign up for their massage time. Yeah, come back at 3 o'clock. We're gonna do your 10-minute oil application. We're focusing on digestion. Great. Sometimes I'll send them with like a Terrazyme and a PB Restore and a Copaiba if they're experiencing digestive issues, and I'll send them with like a little digestion sample. I have samples like set up. Oftentimes I will not give a sample unless they give me their information. So now what I do is I'll just be like, all you have to do to get a sample is fill this little guy out right here, and you get a sample. And this just means I can contact you and see how you're doing with your samples. And they're like, great. I've never had somebody not say no to a sample and letting me have their information. So that's been super effective. I always have a diffuser going. And I'm trying to think anything else that we do.
A question on the diffuser, Melody. So if you're flying in for the show and you don't want to pay for electricity, are you just bringing in like a little way to plug that in, or what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So I either bring the pilot. I have a big pilot and a couple small pilots, and then I have a couple portable battery diffuser bases that I just make sure they're charged up every night, and I just am able to sit that, and that way I don't need anything. But oftentimes I'll just like the booth next to me will let me use their electricity. Like for my doTERRA LED sign, they'll just like let me use their electricity. So, and I don't always have the doTERRA LED sign, but I got that on Amazon. It was like $150, and people love that because they're like, oh, doTERRA, and they see the right name recognition, and it's really pretty. And then I just do the little greenery behind it, and it just kind of creates this spa experience. I wish I would have taken a picture back up. I usually do an L shape. I never put the desk. I used to put the table between me and the people, And I don't do that anymore. I now have, for the last 10 years, have done it where I have an L shape and I invite them in. I do have chairs because I like to sit people down, and I'll kind of squat and like talk to them knee to knee or face to face, and just have a conversation with them. And so that's why I do have like a chair or two in there, because a lot of times if people are walking around, they see a chair and they just want to sit down, and I get oils on them. I start talking to them, and then I'm going, oh, here's our grab bag, and they're like, oh, I want to take something home today. And so I used to have things that they would take right there, and then I would create a shopping cart to replace the cart and ship me the replacements. But I just, like, after a while, I guess I should say I got lazy and I experimented, and I was like, as long as I have something in for them to go home with, that's fine. Like, they'll just let me ship it to them, and then I'm not having to deal with like stock and that kind of stuff. And so I kind of try to simplify. And I'll have Deep Blue sticks just lined up, and somebody will be like, can I buy that? And I'll be like, it's free with a purchase. Do you wanna purchase something? And I'll send you home with this right now. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And so it's kind of a fun little way to incentivize them. So that's really all I have.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Thank you, Melody. And we're just you're getting so many nuggets. This is like a gold mine here. It's so rich, and we appreciate that. Our next presenter is Deanna Nichols of Blue Diamond, who lives back east in West Virginia or Virginia. I can't remember which. Yeah, there you go. And so take it away, Deanna. Let's get some more nuggets dropping.
All right, so I did post a few pictures in the chat, and just for sake of time, I will not share those again here, but I just want to echo something that Tatiana and Richard kind of really tried to get across, and that is that vendor shows are an excellent way to build doTERRA if you have a strategy that results in adding customers and or adding leads that you know how to turn into customers. I've done a lot of I've had a lot of people in my downline that have tried to do shows, and they go out there and they do shows and they get like a big pile of names, and then they don't ever do anything with those names. Or they just sell like a bunch of random products on the table. And that's just not what my goal is. So I have very, very clear, simple goals, and I do the same thing at vendor shows that I do at classes. My goal, and I have a little bit different strategy, and that's the beautiful thing, is that like you can learn something from everybody's strategy, and I've already written down ideas from these other geniuses here. I guess that means I'm a genius too. I just put myself in that category. That was lovely. And so my goal, just like at classes, is I offer 3 kits, and I want to enroll somebody with one of those 3 kits, and it's centered around the Essential Foundations kit, which is foundational wellness, and the top 10 oils. And so I only put out in my booth, I put the foundational wellness items, I put the Home Essentials kit, and I put the Healthy Start kit, and then I show how you can combine the Healthy Start with the foundational wellness to make the Essential Foundations kit. So I have 2 diffusers going, the 2 that come in the kits. And then I have Modern Essentials books sitting out, and everybody wants one because I always answer a question out of it. So they see how handy it is. And then I'm like, we're not selling these, but you can take it home today if you want to get started with one of these starter bundles. And so that's what I give them to go home. And I use my Fast Start to pay for those. I buy them in bulk. That's just what I do. The same thing at classes. So that way I can just, like, my class bag is the same as my show bag, you guys. Like, I just bring the same stuff, and it's really super easy. So there is a financial investment, but like, don't let that deter you, because I got sucked in the early days to some of these like really expensive shows and bought all these things. And I'm not going to say less is more. I'm going to say even less is even more. Seriously, like, you barely need anything on your table. The less you have on your table, the more clearly they're going to know what you want them to do. My favorite skill, I think, in doTERRA is I lead people to what I want them to do. I leave them little trails of, like, I do the Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs, and I take them right to the candy house. And that's how I do everything. And so I have a strategy. So in the month of October, I'm doing Master Club. So we were giving away Balance and Adaptive Roll-Ons, and you can get a Serenity 5 ml if you enroll with the Foundational Wellness, which almost everyone does for me. So I have those out. I have those going in my 2 diffusers that come with the kits. I want everyone to smell those. And guess what else? Okay, so I use the Vicera scanner right now. This is just my current thing I'm doing. So I'm going to tell you how I get that to work for me. So in the Vicera scanner, you can set up a group of customers. I set up a group for every event. That way I can organize that. And my assistant can then go in and take those people, because they have to give you their name, their email, their cell phone number, their date of birth, you guys. It's all in there. And plus, you know what their hot button issues are because you just scan them. It's beautiful. So then she puts them into Enroll Pro, which is what I use. And we tag them with the location. We tag them if somebody's doing a booth with me in my downline, I tag their name. So I know that they're associated with that person. I also tag them with their top health concerns so that if they don't enroll, I have leads and I'm going to work those leads until that person's a customer, a builder, or hopefully both. So a good strategy can turn a small investment into a big return on investment. So just remember, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Keep your setup simple and draw them in and let them go with the flow. So if you look at my photos that are in the chat, I want them to come in and get a scan. Nobody leaves the booth without a scan, okay? Because that's how I'm getting their information. And I don't have to worry about how it's spelled. They're highly motivated to get that, scan. So they're going to make sure they put their email in correct. I always say that, like, your email address is where your scan results are going to go. And so they don't give me a fake email and there's no misspelling or weird handwriting because we're doing it right in the Vicera. It's beautiful. I stole James and Roxanne's idea. Like, we got stands for tablets so they can just walk up and it's right there and they can kind of adjust it to their face level. I love that idea. I just did a breast cancer Into the Pink event. And if anyone knows me, they know that was like, I had to be dragged kicking and screaming to that event. I don't do anything with pink October. It's not my thing. It's like, I have an aversion. I actually put it in my calendar as the Pink BS event instead of the BC event because I was so annoyed that my husband made me do this event. And it was the best event. It was completely free. All I had to do was give a $25 what do you call it? Like a door prize. And I'm telling you, they had doctors lined up, like it was at a hospital. So they had doctors lined up that you could have a consult with. Nobody sat with a single doctor. They all came to my booth to get a free health scan. It was hilarious. And I loved every second of that. It was such a beautiful experience. But I mean, people were lining up for these scans and I couldn't talk to all of them. Like, I didn't have, time to go over their events or go over their results. So I had a partner because I bring a partner with me to events, somebody I'm training. I want to throw them in the fire and get them learning how to talk to and have short conversations that lead to enrollment. So I give them a little plan. We practice. If it's a 3-day event, the first day is the day to train the person because that's the slow day, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I throw them right in and then they're running the scanner and sending them over to me. And I am doing here. You know what I'm doing with their scan? Guess what? I put in the scanner what products I want to come up, you guys. And somebody said to me, aren't you then manipulating the person? No, because a lot of our products do multiple jobs, right? So don't have them scan for fennel, for the love of Jesus. Okay, have them scan for the top 10 oils, the foundational wellness, and whatever's the freaking promo. So I guarantee you adaptive's in there. I guarantee you balance is in there. I guarantee you that, in fact, I put adaptive touch specifically because I ain't stupid. And then I stuck Serenity in there because I want those things to come up. So every human that walks in there scans highest for emotional issues. Guess what I do next? I pull up what emotions are flagging them. My husband says that I made 50% of the people cry at the booth because I showed them their emotions and they're in there they're sad, they're having hot flashes, their husband's dragging them around this big old center and their women are having hot flashes. I'm putting peppermint on them and then I'm just talking nice to them, letting them sit in my chair. The chair's not for me. The chair's for the people. So they can sit down and relax and not feel like they're walking away to the next booth. I want them to feel like they're going to have a conversation. So, I use a trifold brochure, same one I use at classes. It's got the 3 kits, 3 cool things about oils, 3 ways to use oils, 3 things oils can't do, which is my creation to get them to buy foundational wellness. And everything's got a QR code, but I enroll them there. I enroll them right there. They go home with their Modern Essentials book and they know everything's coming within a week. We schedule their consult. So I'm already by the time I get home from my show and unpack all my stuff, I'm doing wellness consults for everybody. I also schedule a class for right after my event so that people can come to a class and have that class experience. There's something about that really connects them in. So I always have a class in that location and I don't travel far. I go within, I have a rule that if I'm going to do a show somewhere, I have to be willing to keep going back there because I want to keep building that leg. So I'm about 90 minutes from Washington, D.C. So I do Washington, D.C. I do Baltimore. I kind of go in that range and I keep going back to the same areas over and over again because I want people to recognize me. And like Tatiana and Richard were saying, have a professional presence in that area. I want people to think of me as the person to call when they want a doTERRA person at their event. And they'll even give me a deal to get me to come because people are asking for me. That's what you want. So I'm just getting them in the booth, and if they're not going to buy something, I have their information and they're going to buy something later. Here's how I know. I did a show in 2019. Remember back in those days? Yeah. Let's all take a moment. 2019, I did a show. It's a Baltimore home and patio show. And you guys might be like, what the heck? But I love the home and patio shows. That's just me. I look like I belong in a home and patio show. So does my husband. By the way, if you're an introvert, I'm going to put a commercial. I'm an introvert. No one thinks that because I have a big mouth. But I don't like to be like, hey, come to my booth. And like, I'm not going to do any of that crazy dragging people into my booth. But guess who is good at that is my husband. He will say the craziest off the wall comments to people, and then they will come into the booth. And I love him for that. If there's a slow time, he goes out and talks to the vendors, and he'll bring me like 3 or 4 potential business builders because he's talking to vendors and finding ways to collaborate with them. Like we have a Norwex lady that wants to like collaborate on an event with me. And he found me a realtor, and they sell a ton of homes in this area. This is a big real estate area. Every one of their homes, they close with a enrollment kit for their person. That was pretty nice that he went out, and he likes to talk to every single human. So find people like that if you're an introvert. I'm just saying, it's a beautiful pairing, because if he brings them to me, I'll get the deep conversation, I'll get the tears, the stories. So anyway, back to that was a commercial. That's what ADHD will do for you, friends. Okay, so they come in the booth and I give them an oil for their emotion. And guess what oil they're going to scan for in October for their emotions? I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 3 do not count. Balance, adaptive, and what's the other one? Serenity. So I put it on their body, and they have this beautiful experience, and then they want everything. And I'm like, oh, these are free. You don't have to buy them. They're free with this bundle. Guess what they buy? A bundle, so they can get that. And then everybody scans for VMG. Everybody, every single human that you scan, if you put VMG in there as a potential item, they're going to scan for it because we're all nutritionally deficient. I lied and said I was going to time myself, and I never did it. Oh, well, I'm talking fast. Sorry. And so I give them VMG. So here's what I do. I ain't giving away nothing without contact information, right? So I don't make like a VMG thing that they can just come by and take. I definitely don't use whole packets. I have a cold one of those dispensers, those glass dispensers with water, and we just keep getting ice from the different vendors to keep it cold. And then I mix up like 1 packet at a time in a shaker bottle for VMG and 1 packet for recharge, because I'm the recharge queen. So I sell that. I add that on to everybody's kit. And so if they scan for VMG, which they will, then you have to try this, because you don't want to buy it without trying it, because it's green and it looks weird, but it doesn't taste green. Don't take my word for it. Try it. Everyone loves it. They do that. A lot of times they'll scan for recharge, because I do add that in there since it's a big seller item for me. And then I let them try that. So they're going to leave there with a kit, most likely. So I'm enrolled. Like, I love it when women come 2 by 2. I call it like Noah's Ark. They come 2 by 2. I enroll them both, like right at the same time. I love it. It's a 2 for 1. It's my favorite. So when I see like women coming in like groups of 2, I'm like, yes, that's my favorite. But yeah, like if you have a little extra time, give them an aroma touch. Roxanne's laughing at me. Give them an aroma touch hand massage. Let them tell you their story about their what, like when their emotions come up, and number 1 is grief, they're going to tell you somebody just died, and you need to be like an ear for them. So other times at that breast cancer BS show that I did, I could not like talk to the people. I didn't have time, and one of my devices like wouldn't work. So I had 1 scanner and like a line wrapping around. So the girl that was with me, bless her, she was putting oils on people, just rubbing their shoulder, like she was doing everything, asking them their life story. And I was literally like, listen, I would love to go over this with you. This is like your main thing that came up. Try some VMG. That's your number 1 item. Try adaptive. This is a free oil. I'm going to text you tomorrow. We're going to set up a time. We'll go over all this. And so that's what I had to do in that situation. So if you're not going to follow up with those people, why bother? Right? Why bother? But like, where else can you get, like at that event, $25 got me a crud load of contacts. Where else can you get leads like that? People are paying thousands of dollars to get leads online, like just totally cold leads. And I have like, they already had an experience. If they have an experience with me and I listen to their story, I tell them one, they look at my before and after photos, which are kind of sell doTERRA on their own. If you've ever seen them, I think I posted it in there in the chat. But if I scan them and show them like how these products can correct the thing, and then they have an experience in the booth, I don't need to give them a free sample. Like they experience the sample, they have a story, they have a scan, and if they will set up a consult with me to go over their scan, then I give them, after the scan, I give them the foundational wellness sample pack. You know, the ones that we just started selling, the little $7 one, that's worth $7. Because if I have a one-on-one with you, you're going to enroll. My one-on-ones are my jam. I'm going to tell you a quick story. 2019, I think I started this story like 7 times. 2019, I did a Baltimore home show. I went off and saw several squirrels since then. This beautiful little young, she wasn't young, she was older than me, but I'm being nice. She was an older lady, came to my booth, and she signed up to come to my class. Okay, so there was no scan back then. I wasn't doing scans. She came to my booth. She got a sample of Serenity oil. And then she came to my class. She didn't enroll at the class, which is crazy. I almost have like 100% class enrollment. She didn't enroll, but I signed her up through my Enroll Pro. I kept dripping on her. I have a whole process that I drip on my leads when I meet them at a show. And by the way, what you do before and after the show is just as, if not more important than what you do during the show. So you have to have a plan for before and after and like ready to activate it all. So anyways, so she enrolled, or she came to the class. She signed up for an essential oil study. I was doing those like crazy back in those days, 2019. And she did this study for anxiety because her husband left her. It was like Mother's Day, and he's like, "Happy Mother's Day. I'm done being married to you," after like 30 years. She absolutely went into a crisis. She contacted me and was like, "I saw you're doing this sleep study. I got an email or an anxiety study. I need to do that." She did the anxiety study and enrolled at the Baltimore home show. This year at convention, she was there as a wellness advocate with her enrollees. I've never done an event for her, never enrolled anybody for her. So throughout all the craziness, in fact, the state of Maryland got shut down for COVID while I was doing that show. So like we didn't really have any in-person events or anything for a long time. She comes to convention with her people, and I realized she's a business builder, and I didn't know that. Like she wants to be a business builder. I have a class for her November 1st. We've maxed out on ticket sales, and she's sending people to my booth at the Baltimore show because it was right before her November 1st class. So she's a genius. She's getting them to like meet me, try the products. And then I'm meeting people, and I'm like, "Do you care if I bring my guests to your class?" Nope. So we're using her class as to like, so guess where those leads are going to go? I have to put them somewhere on my team. I'm a blue diamond. Like I have holes to fill, but where am I going to put them? I'm going to put them under that lady because she's going to like take them in and make them part of her team. So I feel like this is an incredible way to meet people. It's an incredible way to, people come up to me and they're like, "I saw you at the show. I haven't done that show for 6 years." They still remembered me. They still remembered like my story, my photos of my son. It was crazy. Like people will remember you. And so I'm building relationships, and guess what else? I'm talking to all y'all's customers. They're like, "Hey, I have a bunch of doTERRA I haven't used in a long time. Let's crack them out. What are you doing?" Like my husband always says, T stands for topical, not telepathic. You got to open it up and use it. And so we get him using it. And you know what? Do I make any money off that? You might think the answer is no, it isn't. Have you ever heard of this thing called performance pools? When the company does better and your customers do better, we all grow and our bonuses grow. So we're out there doing the work of like, we're helping each other when we do these. So I love what Tatiana and Richard are saying, like get a bunch of little bees out there buzzing. It raises the tide for everyone. So I know that was a lot. I feel like I fire hosed you.
Oh, this is great.
There's something I left out that I should have said, or something I shouldn't have said, probably.
Amazing. No, that was
Yeah,
incredible.
it was awesome. And again, we may do one more of these. We'll see. But and maybe we'll schedule that one for 2 hours. So, but and which is needed, right? There's so much amazing information, and we probably could even invite more presenters, that kind of thing. But Deanna, thank you so much for sharing that. Again, you guys, all of you, did you catch all the nuggets that you're getting from all these different presenters, right? Everybody's kind of doing the same general thing, and yet they have made it their own, and they've discovered different pieces and parts that are super valuable, and they will be for you as well. So we have one final presenter. Her name's Asti Tuller, and she is a blue diamond and coming to us, and recently actually partnered with us on a booth. She took a couple of days. We had a 2-week-long booth, and she and her team took a little bit of that. So Asti, please take it away.
Thanks, James. I just wanted to thank everyone who has shared so far today. I have loved all the information. I've learned a ton. I've been reminded of a ton. And similar to some of the people, I used to do a lot of events, I guess mostly similar to James and Roxanne. I used to do lots and lots of events before COVID and then have just been kind of figuring out the market since then. So the first thing I want to say is don't shy away from experimenting, right? Like I have done a lot of experimentation this year, and every event I feel like I get closer and closer to kind of what I want and what's meeting my goals. And one of the things that I have really loved, and a huge shout out to Rachel Lynch for kind of bringing on how to do health scans to this world again. And that's something I used to do before, but then got away from it. But I use the Visera scan, and my goal is to get people to schedule an event or to schedule an appointment with me to do a health scan. Because I know if I can get them sat down for between 30 and 40 minutes, I usually can get them to start the 90-day reset. So that's my personal goal. I feel like it's a super, super easy way to keep people engaged and a lot of times the people that I meet at these events, we have so many touches because of that 90-day reset that they become very, very loyal. And they're like we're on first name basis. I'm asking them about their kids, how their house hunt is coming, like how their husband's doing with his job. I mean, there are a lot of touches, which has been really, really fun. So I will say back in the spring, I started doing some farmers market events. And I tried doing having the scan be the raffle, and I did have some people entered, and I captured their information in a CRM, which was great, so I can still get back with them. However, I found that when I called everybody back to let them know that they had won, it was very difficult for me to get a hold of them. For some reason in my market, that was not helpful. So I might capture, out of every 10 leads, I would be able to have someone actually schedule a scan with me. So I didn't feel like 10% was a very good return. So what I started doing instead was I started saying that the gift of the event was the scan. So I do charge for my scans. I feel like it's a significant amount of time on my part. And so I do charge for them. And but when I do an event, I will give them for free. And I feel like that is the gift. And so what I do is I bring my Calendly link. I have a QR code for it, and I have them actually schedule a review with me right there at the event. And the vendor booth that I did with James and Roxanne just recently, that's the first time we've scanned in a booth, and it was really great, right? They had the stand set up, and I feel like that was a big draw for people to come actually scan. So that was really fantastic. But usually I've just done it as a remote scan, and I'll take a selfie with them at the booth. So I say, can I take a selfie? So you know that you know me, and they laugh and say yes. And so when I send them the reminder text, I send the selfie of us. And then we go ahead and do the remote scan. And I do have them scan themselves ahead of time. And one of the benefits I feel like for having people do their own scan on their own phone is that they get a copy of the entire scan in their Visera app. And so when we scan them locally, I can't give them a copy of their scan. I've even talked to Gustavo at Visera, and he said that they just can't do it. They're working on making a PDF a little bit more robust for a report, but they don't actually get their own scan. And I really like that they have it. But I also will say, I don't like sending them a link of their scan before 24 hours ahead of our appointment, because I don't like them to look through it too much and kind of get an idea of what things are. And so there's really a sweet spot for the amount of
So
time.
you're basically within 24 hours, you're sending them the link, not
Correct.
prior to that. Okay.
Correct. Within 24 hours. I don't like to have them. And the other thing too is that, for example, I did an event in the summer that right after the event, there were tons of wildfires. And if I had scanned all those people right at the event and then scheduled out their review later, there were a lot of things that wouldn't have come up, because I noticed a massive, massive difference in esophagus, in throat, in lungs with all the smoke in the air for the people that scanned before the fire versus after the fire. And it was really incredible to me. Like the more scans I do, the more belief I develop in the technology because it's just so right on. And you know, I've done rural communities before where in the summertime the herbicides and pesticides are really high. I mean, there are just a lot of different things that come up that are pretty interesting. So I'm gonna show my learning process. This is me just saying, and the purpose of this is to just encourage you to experiment and see what works in your market. And as you go to different areas, for example, you'll find that people respond to different things. For example, I did a fair this summer that I was right out in the aisle. People hated that. They would like literally walk 20 feet around me. And I found it was better if I was sitting down behind a table, then they would come approach me. And I'm like, that is so weird, you know, it's just so different.
It's because you're
And so I'm
7 feet tall. Just kidding.
Hey, and so anyway, I'll just show kind of where I started and where I ended, and you'll see that there was a lot of flux that happened with this whole scenario with this event in the summer. So I started out with things back here because in my experience, people have liked to really come into a booth. Well, guess what? That did not work for this area. They did not like that. Nobody would come in, and I found that by having things set up so far back, they wouldn't come in. They like to have things right along the aisle. The other thing I did is I was experimenting and I thought, how can I get people in so I can talk to them for just a minute? Like what would be enticing? What would be a low price point? And there were definitely pros and cons to this. I don't know that I would do it again, but it was a good experiment for the time, right? So I changed it to this and we started adding major signage because what was working for this particular area was that they like to see the signs, they like to look from afar, and then they like to approach me. And once they came near me, like as soon as I caught somebody's eyes, I could bring them in, right? I would ask them questions, we would engage them. I had a little sandbox set up here for the kids. And I actually got a lot of moms at my booth because the kids would stop and play with the sandbox, and then I could talk to the moms while the kids were playing. So that was a win. That one worked really well. We set up a sign out in the middle of the aisle, so anybody walking from either end of the event, and this would not work in a conference hall, but it worked great for just an outdoor kind of an event. And there's the other piece of it. People would stand and look at it, and literally people would come over and say, is this the place for the health scan? Which is why we added the other sign. So through the course of this event, we were constantly jigging and shaking and moving things. And this was the only sign up I had for the health scan. So I felt like for this event, that was probably my biggest faux pas, is I should have had a big sign right here that said free health scan. Since that was my goal, that's what I really should have marketed more. And I had a little sign, and there was a ton of wind. I kept taking things out of frames and putting them in plastic sheets and taping them to the table because this event was so windy. And I had a little sign that said, if your body could tell you something, what would it say? And people would ask about that. They really liked that question. And then just showing a little bit more what it looked like at night, with little lights and things like that. And I got this little plasma ball. I was trying to find something that was kind of like a fortune telling crystal ball, right? Like if your body could tell you something, what would it say? But it totally didn't work in the daytime. You couldn't even see it. So I could only bring it out at night. But then I got lots of teenagers that were like, that's so cool. And then their parents would come over and would comment how clever that was. So just try to do some different things to bring people into the booth. But once I really got them there, my main thing was just trying to help people get set up for that scan. And I did sell a bunch of product while I was at the booth. I think I only enrolled one or two because it wasn't my focus to enroll right then. I felt like people were distracted. They had their kids with them. I didn't want to get into a half-hearted conversation about it. And I actually did have a very high closing ratio afterwards, both in terms of, I think easily 90% of the people that I set up appointments with actually showed up for their appointment because I built so much value. Like what I sold to them at the booth was how powerful this health scan would be, what they would learn about their own bodies, how we could really help them. how I could help them see what their organs were doing and really have that good look under the hood at their own health. And so people were really, really excited to show up and have their scan. I think they did feel like it was a huge win, and they were very excited that I wasn't going to be charging them. And I basically told them, as long as you schedule your review with me before the end of this event, it will be free. But if you wait until later, I will charge you. And that was
And
kind
how
of a
much
really
do
good
you
urgent
charge,
concern.
Shasti? How much do
I
you charge?
charge 75 for a review. 75. Yep. And I have charged it. I do charge it unless I'm doing a special. So that's about all I have.
Cool. That's awesome. I love it. And again, what I love is that we have a variety of people here doing booths, each with their own things that they're figuring out as they go, and things that may apply more to you, your situation, and what you're doing. But you've gotten so much information at this call today. Roxanne, is there anything else that you would like to add? Okay. All right.
No, but we will get, in case people want to use, like I was doing all the things that it says it's sharing the file in Zoom. And I'm like, where in the heck is it? So maybe there's somebody on here that can tell me where I can see the files that I'm sharing in Zoom, but I cannot find them to show them to you. But we were almost there with the tech. But yes, so we're gonna, in case you want, and any of the other presenters that have marketing that they've done that they're willing to share, I'm totally game to give any of mine away so you guys don't have to make your own stuff. It's like, but
Yeah,
if
or
want
you can
to,
adjust
Canva's a
it.
very useful way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can put in the chat real quick just the link to the Google Drive, but if not, we'll figure out a way to get it out to all the places where we advertise this call, and also get it out through Teams and stuff. So again, we're super grateful for everybody who took the time to present. This is something that you really don't have to wait to do. Nobody that presented on here waited till they had it perfect. They all just went out, started doing it, and refined the process as they went, and used what knowledge they currently had and then added to that knowledge and experience as they went. So some of you may not be super sellers or stuff like that, but you're not going to become a super seller until you start trying the process and then going, oh, I think I need to get better at this or that, and then finding tips and ways or resources out there to get better at some of those things. And a lot of times getting better is just doing it and talking to people and interacting. Now, Tatiana and Richard said they're developing a course. When that's available, that's something that could be helpful. And also just looking out there in the different groups and stuff and asking who's doing vendor events. And you could ask them, like what's working for them, or see if they want to collaborate or things like that. You might have team in your area that are willing to collaborate, and together you guys can mastermind and figure out what to do for a booth. You go do it, you figure out what works, what didn't, you start to progress from there. And again, these booths they can cost a lot, but they don't have to cost a lot. People have done them free, found free booths. People have found $50 booths. People have found $1,000 booths, right? Now, if I'm spending a lot of money, that event better have thousands of people scheduled to come through it. And so there's different things to look at there, because if I can get builders out of an event, there's huge value in that, right? If I can get 1, 2, or 3 builders out of an event because there's tons of people coming through and I did pay a lot for that booth, that's coming back to me over time. And so I feel good about that. But to get started, find the thing that's affordable for you, find the place that you can start, and that you don't wait to try it. That's what my worry with this is, that people are going, oh, I got to get everything set up just right because look at what they're doing. Just remember, nobody that presented started out exactly like what you see. They all figured out through a process of how to get to where they went. But the secret was they went into action. The secret of our business is action, learn from that action, and then create momentum. And then when you have momentum, this business is going to work for you as long as you stay in action. And this is a way to quickly get into action, meet people, connect with people. And the world needs more in-person connection. This is something you can give back. Just think of it like that. You're not selling to people, you're giving back. You're going out, you're helping with that human connection. So again, everybody, thank you so much for being with us today. We will get this recording out as soon as we can. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, and a wonderful life. We'll see you down the road.